Hello, Dipanjan. How are you?
Good evening, sir. How are you doing?
Good evening. I'm fine. I'm fine. Okay, Dipanjan. What is your?
Can I start a question or?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Please start.
I have a couple actually. So the
Yeah, go
first
ahead.
question is, as I have spoken to you, I'm quite a newbie here in the shooting, so just like 2 months at the most. So my question is there any exercise that you can suggest which will help me to, hold the sight alignment a little better than what I'm doing right now? So currently, I'm able to hold it steadily for around 5 to 6 at the most. Sometimes it goes to 4 seconds. How can I increase that?
Okay. In module number three, training
Mhm.
methodology, there are many
Okay.
of my shooters here, uh,
Okay.
and if they want, they can share their experience. We have number of exercises from exercises 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Mhm.
And these exercises are meant to improve your continuous grip pressure. How that is done is you have a standing line, a sleeping line, okay, then there is a
Okay.
cross, and then there is a sleeping eight, and then there is a standing eight, and you're supposed to use those exercises, and they are explained in great detail in the
Okay.
videos, okay,
Okay.
and
I,
you're
I will
supposed,
check there.
yeah, and you're supposed. Have you taken the module?
No, I'm only at the basic right now.
Fine, fine. So as in when you do that, all these
Yeah.
exercises are very graded. They take you from exercise 1, 2, 3, 4, and what they also ensure is that your wrist lock is mastered. You know, we have
Okay.
discussed wrist lock in the basic course. That's
Mhm.
a very, very critical topic. Your wrist has to be locked, and
Okay.
it is done mentally, you know,
Okay.
and
Okay.
those exercises help you to improve your wrist lock and your grip pressure follow through. If you have been reading my basic course,
Mhm.
you will understand what grip pressure follow through means. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
And of course those exercises are very in such a short time I will not be able to explain to you, but they are explained
Right.
in great detail. It will take you at least 2 3 hours just to go through them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then of course when you when you go to practice, then of course it takes a little time. Your
Right.
next question.
Yeah. My next question is, for practice, sir. I mean, does a pellet type or a pellet grain matter? For example, we are using bat cutters, but there are so many brands. We have the Jayco or the Gecko, we have the Excite, we have the RWS10, so we have the RWS Basic. So, is there something? Some grains are like 8.3, some are like 7.1. So, how does it matter in practice?
Okay, first of all, let me tell you one thing. Generally, when a shooter goes in, a newbie shooter, you know, generally you tend to, depending on your pocket, you tend to go for a pellet brand which is not Chinese and not competition. It's somewhere
Okay,
about 500 to 600 rupees a tin. And that's the
correct.
Diabolo, the red Diabolo, which I'm using, and it gives pretty good, pretty good. See,
Okay,
one thing is very important. The importance of the pellet comes when you start shooting 570 plus,
right. Okay,
where even a
yeah.
9.9 and a 10.0 will make a difference. Now comes the second part. Now this is very interesting. Each weapon is like a human being. Every air pistol
Hmm.
has a liking for a certain brand of pellets. And when you
Okay,
go to that high international level, the batch wise also makes a lot of difference. You know, there's the producer, the manufacturer produces batch, huge batches, and they
right.
are all
Hmm.
yeah. So even the batch makes a difference. So when you're at 580 plus and all, the shooters of that caliber, they test out their pellets, and then if they see that this particular batch, which is mentioned on the pellet box, you know, the
Hmm.
carton, then they go in for only those cartons. They book those cartons. But that is
Yeah.
at 580 plus.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. But what I would advise you is not to go for the cheap pellets. I'll tell you why. The cheap pellets are a little harder. The antimony
Hmm.
content, mind it, antimony content makes the pellet if the antimony content is little high, then the pellet becomes hard and the wear and tear of the barrel increases. However, this does not happen in the titanium, the Morini titanium, because it has got a coating of titanium inside. So it's a lifelong barrel. So they claim. We still haven't tested an air pistol of 10-year-old Morini titanium. As yet, we have not tested. But in India, it's good enough. Like my wife is using a pistol, and probably my son will be using the same pistol.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Understood, sir. I'm also using the same one. So the Dablo, the red one, the Gecko one. So
yes.
Yeah. So understood.
They're good enough. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Rhythm has got a question, sir. My question is how to hit a perfect shot. Mean 10.9. Okay. See, you must understand one thing. Anybody can shoot a 10.9. But to shoot continuously in a ring, that is 10.5 onwards, that requires an extremely high level of concentration. And your concentration has to be on your fingertip, which is resting on the trigger shoe. And when you start the second pull, if your attention gets diverted by the aiming process, now the aiming process, as you know, is the sight alignment, the focus, and the arc of movement. I'll just go a little bit deeper. Aiming processes, when the sights come into the aiming area, generally a novice shooter is bothered about whether his sights are aligned or not, and whether he's got good focus, and most of them are trying to reduce that arc of movement to as less as possible. This entire process of sight alignment, focus, and arc of movement is called as the aiming process. Now, the top class shooters, okay, they don't bother about the aiming process because they have practiced in a very systematic manner, and the aiming process is mastered. And that is what you master in my modules. And when you become an elite member, most of my shooters here, there's Uma Shankar here, and probably if he comes in the studio, he will be able to share his experience as to how he has mastered the aiming process. Now, once you master the aiming process, and by the way, there is a video on this topic. What is surprise? What is a surprise shot, and what is flinching? Okay, and how to increase your mental focus, part 1, part 2, and part 3. They are all on YouTube. Now, coming back to shooting a 10.9, if your sights come into the aiming area, and the moment you start your second pull, your entire concentration is totally on the trigger finger pressure, and you're maintaining that pressure smoothly before, during, and after the shot. You're so deeply engrossed in that process of triggering that you don't know when the shot has fired. And 9 times out of 10, it will be a good 10. It could be a 10.5, or it could even be a 10.9. All right. So to shoot a perfect shot, you have to master the aiming process. And secondly, your mental focus on your trigger finger, trigger pressure, operation before, during, and after the shot has to be a very, very high level. And what happens is when the shot is fired, your attention breaks for just that much, and the shot may not go in a 10.9, it may go in a 10.5 or 10.0, or if your attention breaks a little bit more, it will go in a 9, and so on. I hope you've understood what I've said, and in any case, you have my WhatsApp number. If you have any other difficulty, you can go and ask me. We can have a video call on that question or any other question that you may have.